Where will Garrett Cole end up pitching next season? All that and more today on HTF.
Things gon' change when I really hit the field. Undefeated chance, man, you know what's the deal. Tryna find a kid, I'm in the field doing drills. Boy, you just a sucker, you ain't never keep it real. 3 rings in my hand, I'm a warrior to the max. When I hang it up, they gon' have to give me plaques. Step up in the building and I only bring the facts. When I make a highlight, they gon' replay, run it back. Okay, always locked in, I don't got time to lax. Saying he the best, he could take a lap. Batted 1,000 when you check the stats. Boy, is you ready? You ain't gotta ask. I just really hit the field. 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 Boy, I'm about to hit the field.
Welcome to Hitting the Field. I'm a sad Eagles fan. My name's Jarrett Kappelman, the host with the most, but it's never a sad day when we're here on the show, especially when 2 of HTF's quality football analysts are with me. To my left, I have a fellow sad Eagles fan, Chris Tran. Chris, how you doing?
Like you said, pretty sad. The Eagles lost to the Dolphins, so pretty sad.
It's just like, I don't even know where to start with that. But on my right, I have the host of Hitting the Fields, might I add, the man, the myth, the legend, Kyle Partain, making his season debut on the last episode. Kyle?
Glad to be here, man. Not a sad Eagles fan, but a sad Jags fan today for sure.
Well, you have an Eagles quarterback.
I do, yeah. Didn't look out so well there, though.
Well, let's talk about yesterday's NFL action. We start our talk with one of the biggest upsets of the season. The Patriots might need to be hitting the panic button this morning after a 28-22 loss to the Texans on Sunday Night Football. It was Houston's first win against New England since 2010. Deshaun Watson threw for 3 touchdowns and even caught one on another weird play en route to Houston's big win over the Patriots. Kyle, did Houston win or did New England lose?
I mean, I think you got to argue it's some slight combination of both, but overall, I would say Houston won. I think Houston was clearly the better team top to bottom in this game. The offense in particular was so much better than New England's, despite New England, making it close in the end. Tom Brady did not look like his old self. For really this season, for the first time in possibly ever, he's looked old, he's looked slow, and he's been inaccurate. And James White is now the main catalyst for this offense with 2 touchdowns. But it's not enough. That's not going to be enough. It's very one-dimensional. And I do believe that Houston won this game. New England did not just lose this game. This was won by Houston from start to finish, and they were clearly the better team.
Chris, what did you make from that game?
Yeah, I mean, just watching, did New England play well? No. But at the same time, Houston played really well. They won the game. They controlled the game from the start, and they really just didn't look back. Like you said, James White has been the catalyst for this team because Tom Brady simply can't go down the field like he used to. It's a combination of them not having the receivers that they had and Tom Brady just actually getting old. He is human. We found out this year. So without, they couldn't push the ball down the field, and Houston really just controlled the tempo of the game, and that's just really how Houston won the game. They definitely won the game.
New England, Tom Brady himself, it looks like he can't handle the pressure anymore. He looks frustrated with everything. Where's the disconnect this year? Is it age? Is it talent? What is it, Kyle?
I think it's a combination of what Chris was talking about here. It is age. I mean, at some point, time's going to catch up to you. It's just a matter of fact. No one's, inevitably going to never be good again, if that even makes sense. But, Tom Brady's going to age, and then it's also, the talent's just not there. It's not the same talent, not the same receivers, not the same skill positions that he's had in past seasons where he has those reliable scorers that can go out, get those 50-50 balls, or even just make that impact difference play. He just doesn't have that. Edelman, he's been good.
Yep.
It's not, it's not the same, but the offense just doesn't look like the same. It is James White and to an extent Sony Michel. It's a run-first team now, it almost feels like, and it's very predictable. And it's going to be difficult, I feel like, for New England to really.
They're a team that abandoned the run when they fall behind. Chris, I mean, you can only ask the defense to do so much. Where are the Patriots going to look for answers?
Yeah, I mean, so I feel like where they're looking, what they're missing from last year is, we saw a little bit of this last year with Brady where he just wasn't able to push the ball downfield, but they had Gronk to bail him out. Now Gronk's gone, and he's not coming back. People keep talking about, he's just going to come back for the playoffs. He's not coming back. And they're missing that big body who they can just go to over the middle, and I think that's what set them back a little bit this year. But that defense is still elite, and they're not going to have trouble stopping opponents. But if Brady can't push the ball downfield and they go into a cold weather game, it's going to be tough for them to score points, and it's going to be a really ugly game that they can still grind out and win. But it's not the old Patriots that we're used to seeing.
Yes or no? Are the Patriots going to make another trip to the Super Bowl?
I believe they will. I'm gonna bank on talent. I'm gonna bank on coaching. And I mean, every time you think the Patriots are out, they end up in the Super Bowl.
Kyle,
So,
yes or no?
I don't think they get there this year. Well, let me take that back. If New England is not the number 1 seed, they will not be in the Super Bowl. If they are the number 1 seed in the AFC,
They don't control their fate.
exactly, that's the problem. They do not control their own fate, and I don't believe New England gets the 1 seed. And if they have to go to Baltimore to win, I don't think they can do it. I just don't think the talent's there.
but the thing that the defense travels. Like, the offense sometimes is shaky on the road, but defense always travels. And that's why I think New England's going to be able to get back to the Super Bowl, is because they're always going to be able to lean on that defense going forward in the playoffs to get back to the Super Bowl.
Well, Partain just mentioned the Ravens. In Baltimore yesterday, where it was raining cats and dogs, it was also been raining wins for the Ravens, who extended the NFL's longest winning streak to 8 games in a win over the Niners. The Ravens squeaked out a 20-17 victory on a Justin Tucker game-winning field goal as the clock expired. Lamar Jackson only threw for 105 yards, but he made up for it on the ground with 101 yards rushing and the touchdown. Chris, did yesterday prove that Baltimore is the team to beat in the NFL?
I don't believe so. Are they playing the best currently? Yes, but I don't think they're the best team in the NFL. And I just think Lamar Jackson's been playing out of his mind, but he still only threw the ball for, 105 yards yesterday?
Yep.
I think when teams get to play them a second time in the playoffs, they're going to scheme completely different for Lamar Jackson and their offense as a whole. Because if you force him to throw the ball deep, if you stack the box, they don't have weapons on the outside to beat you. Like, not only can Lamar Jackson, I still question his throwing ability deep down the field, they also don't have the weapons to create separation. And I think that's going to be the problem with them in the playoffs. They continue on this roll against teams that they haven't played before, but once you get a second look, I think it's a completely different game.
I mean, the Ravens receiving core does have the least receptions as a wide receiver core in the NFL. Kyle, where do you see the Ravens?
I do believe, as of right now, it's hard to argue that they aren't the best team in the NFL right now. Chris, I want to ask you who you do believe would be the best team in the NFL right now, though.
I still think it's San Francisco. If they were to play again, I think San Francisco wins. I'm being completely honest.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because of the conditions in the game last week. It's difficult to really judge Lamar Jackson's throwing abilities in that game in a downpour. It's difficult to throw the ball. They ran the ball effectively, or at least Lamar ran the ball effectively, and that's taking advantage of the situation. San Francisco, we see, did not utilize the situation, the surroundings, the environment of the game. And to me, that's a coaching thing. That is a coaching issue. And I believe Baltimore right now is a better coached team than San Francisco.
I do. Okay, so I agree with you. They're currently a better coach team. Harbaugh is one of the top 5 coaches in the NFL, has been for a long time. But if you just look at the AFC, I wouldn't be surprised if New England beats them in a rematch. I wouldn't be surprised if you look at the Chiefs.
The Chiefs have already beat them.
Exactly.
This year.
If they were to beat them again, I wouldn't be surprised at all. If you just look across the AFC, I just think that there's teams to beat them.
Now, you were saying that the 49ers would beat them in a rematch, but the Seahawks might be the best team in the NFC. The Seahawks went into San Francisco and beat them. Do you think the Seahawks could be the team to beat the Ravens? Because they lost to them earlier in the season.
Yeah, I still think the defense on San Francisco and the athletes that they have on that defensive line is just going to be able to perform in the playoffs. The one thing that you need in the playoffs is a running game and a defense. And I think that's when you're going to be able to lean on San Fran. And I think that's you're just going to be able to carry that throughout the playoffs.
Kyle, is San Fran the team to beat?
No, you bring up running game and defense, and I completely agree. Those are two things you absolutely need. But that just describes what Baltimore is. Solid defense, one of the most underrated defenses in the NFL. Solid rushing attack, Lamar Jackson leading that attack. Not to mention the coaching. Coaching makes the difference in the postseason. We look at New England. Several times they may not have had the all-star talent, the top receivers, the top core in the game. Brady made those players better through Belichick's coaching. And that is what Baltimore is doing with Harbaugh and Lamar Jackson.
I think it's unfair to compare Belichick to really any other coach. Like, Belichick is on a league of his own. He's the best coach in NFL history. It's not even close. So I don't think you can compare Shanahan and Harbaugh on the same level as Belichick. And if we're talking about getting to the Super Bowl, I think we're talking about the Niners and the Seahawks. I think that the Seahawks are going to be able to bottle up the 49ers are going to be able to bottle up the Seahawks, and they're going to be able to run over them, and they're going to be able to get to the Super Bowl again.
Yeah, I do believe San Francisco they have an edge over Seattle. I do think Seattle's a good team. Don't get me wrong. I think Seattle is capable of getting to the Super Bowl. I don't think they can knock off San Francisco. I think San Francisco should absolutely be the favorite in the NFC. But I'm not comparing Harbaugh to Belichick, but I'm saying if you look at these situations where you have these kinds of different, unique players like Lamar Jackson, right? He's someone, the NFL has seen rushing quarterbacks that have had minimum to moderate levels of success in the NFL. But you see what Lamar's doing here, and it's a unique situation in the NFL, in the history of the NFL. I'm not sure we've seen a player be able to do this kind of numbers, with the exception of maybe Russell Wilson, if you consider him a true running quarterback.
Or like Vic, yeah. I agree that it's something so different, and that's why I think that Baltimore's not going to be able to sustain it in the playoffs. It's such a different offense that when you have just 1 week to prepare for it for 1 week of the year, that's when you get beat. But if you're playing them a second time and you have tape on them and you've played them before, you know their style, when it's like a winner-go-home game, you're going to prepare for that much better than you have in the past.
Well, something else that played a huge impact, I think, of the Ravens' win yesterday was the weather. Who has the better run team? The Ravens by far. Now, if it's good weather, the 49ers can probably, Garoppolo probably throws more than 165 yards. Do you think that played a huge impact in the game?
I do. And I think that's what, it was really slippery out. It was raining all game. And I think that's also what helped Lamar. But, again, I don't think it didn't surprise me that the Ravens won. If it was perfect conditions, they were at home. They can still win that game. I just think when you see them a second time, that's when it's easier to expose that offense.
Yeah, but that's an argument you could flip the script on for any team. You use the same thing with Baltimore. They see San Francisco. You play them twice. You can do the same thing. You can adjust your schemes, play strategy. You can adjust things the way you want to. That's not just an issue that Baltimore is facing. San Francisco, they're going to give them different looks. Baltimore understands that. You don't go into an opponent a second time assuming, everything's going to be the same. To me, that's an argument that isn't really sustainable.
That's true, but I think it works because that's the only it's such a different offense than what anybody else runs. That's why I think you can adjust to it because they have such a distinct way of playing on the offensive side of the ball that if you see them a second time, you can adjust. Whereas the Niners, it's not really something that different.
Well, you know what? Time's going to tell, and hopefully we can see this rematch again. Thank you, Chris and Kyle, for talking NFL with me today. But the conversation does not stop here. Head over to our Twitter page at Hitting the Field to answer tonight's Monday Night Football poll. Who will win tonight, the Seahawks or the Vikings? I'll reveal those results later in the show. When we come back, we're going to switch over to the college football field and talk some playoffs.
I can't even imagine what it's like to be a Saints fan right now.
Dude,
I'd be so
Guys,
mad.
I can't believe that ridiculous no call.
Bro, I'm puzzled. If they would have made that call, who do you think would have been in the Super Bowl? The Saints would have been the Super Bowl. Come on now.
The refs, they need to be punished.
Oh, hey guys. Did you see my missed call last week? Could have sent that team to the championship. I guess not.
I can't take this anymore.
What's up with this guy?
Good morning, fellas, except for Andre.
KG in the building.
James Harden's a stat pack.
That is right, you're right.
He's the best
He has 120 straight points now.
Bro, 120 straight points out.
Alright, let's do this. Let's get down to business, guys.
He's like Russell. You still got Aaron Gordon, PJ Tucker, and them boys. Come on now.
What about Carl?
Tom Brady is his son.
Facts.
I think it's kind of special, though.
What? What are you talking about, man? Crazy, man.
Don't ever say that.
This is your dad, What are you talking about?
Welcome back to HTF. I'm still with Kyle Partain and Chris Tran to talk some college football. The college football world is living in uncharted territory. They've never seen a college football playoff without the Alabama Crimson Tide. And this weekend's Iron Bowl turned that fantasy into reality as Auburn defeated Alabama 48-45. Bama lined up for a field goal with 2 minutes left, but their kicker came short on a chip shot wide left off the crossbar and gave the game to Auburn. Kyle, what was your thoughts from the game?
War Eagle, baby. I think Auburn just did the entire college football world a huge favor. The playoffs are finally open to all, and it is going to be excellent. So thank you, Auburn. That's the first thing. And there are so many takeaways from this game. The first thing I want to talk about is Malzahn just straight up out-coached Saban. Alabama actually played a not much, but a better game, in my opinion. I think there were more solid plays from Alabama, but Malzahn was sneaky. He was tricky. And once again, with that clock management, Auburn managed to just fool Alabama and outlast, and they made that brilliant scheme on that last play of the game to draw that 12 men on the field penalty. And Auburn just congrats to Auburn.
Now,
There's so many takeaways.
You say out-coached, but were they out-disciplined?
Yeah, and I think that goes with coaching. And I mean, this is the second time this year. I think when you watch the LSU game and now the Auburn game with Alabama, they don't look like typical Nick Saban coach teams. And I think that's the difference. Usually, they're obviously going to be the most disciplined team. They're not going to have stupid penalties. They're not going to turn the ball over. That's something, and they're going to have great special teams. That's something you could count on Alabama for the last decade. You knew that coming into this. And we haven't seen that this year. And, the special teams play at the end of the game, having too many men on the field, genius, like you said, by Gus Malzahn. But I think the big thing in this, you said, let's look at the takeaways. The takeaways from Mac Jones. He made 2 bad throws, and they ended up both going for 6. And I think that's the game really, that's what you can boil it down to. When you turn the ball over, you lose games, and especially when it's a pick 6.
Was the second pass a bad throw, or did N'Keal Harry just not turn around? Which is it? I mean, with the young quarterback, you're going to put it on the receiver?
I put that on Mac. He's being pressured, and he just threw a blind ball, essentially. And it was an unlucky bounce. That is what it is. But he was pressured hard into that throw. Made an essential blind throw, bounced off the back, and I don't know what we want to call it. There's been the kick 6. Now what do we want to call it? The McLean back off of receiver 100-yard return 6. I don't know what you want to call it, but it was brilliant and I loved it.
Yeah, these Iron Bowl games just get crazy, especially when they're at Auburn. I feel like everyone that's at Auburn just turns into a classic.
Well, Bama's never won when they're both ranked.
Yeah, it's crazy. And like you always looking at this game from afar, you would think that Alabama would just win this game. Just like, okay, it's out Auburn, but Alabama historically has been the better team. But they just have trouble winning at Auburn, and it's because that atmosphere is just unlike anything else in college football, and that like front 7 is unlike anything Alabama faced this entire year.
I mean, here's one thing. I'm interested to see what your thoughts are on this, but you look at the game, you look at the stats. Bo Nix, just 173.
He did not do anything, and for postgame, for us to be like, he established himself as a real leader and player. As a leader, yes, but as a player, no, he's still not that great.
Auburn offensively did not.
Defense won that game.
Defense absolutely won
absolutely,
that game.
And that's what I'm saying. The interceptions by Mac Jones is really what, in my opinion, turned this game. And then honestly, you look at the missed field goal by Alabama at the end of the game. That's huge.
No, I mean, and they've missed 101 field goals since Nick Saban has taken over most in college football. Real quick on that, is that a surprise, yes or no?
At this point, it's not a surprise. They've just been so inconsistent with field goals for so long. It doesn't.
You can't recruit a kicker. I don't get it.
Yeah, best coach in college football, and you can't get a kicker.
Well, with the Iron Bowl out of the way, the focus in the SEC shifts to Atlanta, where LSU and Georgia fight for the conference title Saturday afternoon. LSU is undefeated coming into the game, and it's a virtual lock to be a part of the college football playoffs top 4. Georgia needs a win to keep its title hopes alive. Chris, can Georgia do what no one has done this season and take down the Tigers?
No, I mean, I don't think Georgia's looked that good the last month, and LSU is going to score on anybody. I don't think this game stays particularly close at all. I think LSU kind of rolls just right into the college football playoff.
Yeah, here's the thing. Georgia does have a very solid defense, but they're going to have to put up 30 points to even have a chance
More
to beat
than
LSU.
30.
Right. That's 30 to have a chance and be in this game. And with Swift as questionable,
and they're down their top receiver for getting into a fist fight
against Georgia Tech.
There's not enough talent and there's not enough consistency from Fromm. I don't believe Georgia can keep this particularly close. And I think there is a real issue here for Georgia, a very real possibility that LSU just absolutely manhandles them and just outclasses them.
So
I agree.
We're taking LSU by landslide.
I take LSU by landslide, absolutely.
3 touchdowns at least.
All right. Well, this Sunday, we'll finally have the answer to the season-long question we have asked ourselves. Who is the Final Four? Ohio State, LSU, and Clemson appear to be locks, but the 4th spot is up in air. I'm just going to ask you guys point blank. Chris, who's number 4?
For me, it's the Oklahoma Sooners. They have such an explosive offense, and I know they haven't looked great these last couple games, but they're an exciting team to watch that you want to see have a chance for a national championship. And I think out of the remaining teams outside the top 3, Oklahoma has the best chance out of any of those teams to win a game, to win a semifinal game. I trust Lincoln Riley as a coach, and I just trust that offense as a whole to make everything a big game with them.
Kyle, who's your 4?
It's going to be Utah, and I will give you 2 reasons. They are the 3rd best overall team in total defense. Defense outclasses Oklahoma's defense. It's not even in a league of their own. Number 2, also to tag on to that, 200 and I believe 26 total points in differential in their last 8 games for Utah. That's ridiculous. And then on offense, everyone's saying Oklahoma's offense is better, and I agree. That is an absolute fact. But you look at, there's Utah. Huntley, he's the number 5 quarterback total in QBR, 1 spot behind Jalen Hurts.
QBR is a
Zach
terrible
Moss
stat.
has 30 more yards than Oklahoma's leading rusher, who also happens to be Jalen Hurts. The discrepancies aren't that big in offense, and it's not enough, I believe, when you look at Utah's eye test.
But if you talk about the defense, Oklahoma has never once leaned on their defense, and they never will. That hasn't been a problem for them in the past. So I don't know why it would all of a sudden be now. They've reached the semifinal having a horrible defense. They don't have a great defense now, and they always find a way to get into the top 4. They have an elite offense. They have the best wide receiver in college football in CeeDee Lamb, and they are going to be able to put up points on anybody. And nobody wants to watch Utah. If Utah goes in the college football playoff, they're going to lose by 40 to Ohio State. Nobody wants to see that.
Oh, that's a little bit of a hot take. I don't believe no one wants to watch Utah. The problem is Pac-12 after dark. No one really can watch Utah. If you're going to sleep early, you're not going to watch Utah. But I don't believe Utah's a bad pick here. We look at, and I want to get back to that point on Oklahoma being punished for their defense. I don't believe they're getting punished. They're rewarding Utah. It would be a reward for having excellent defense. And that is something that committee hasn't really shown too much in the past. They don't care about that. But what the committee has shown that they value this season is the eye test. And Utah absolutely passes the eye test in comparison with Oklahoma.
Well, based on the eye test, who have they beat? Like, nobody in the Pac-12 is really that big of a threat. We thought Oregon was going to be this big threat, and then they go and they lose last weekend when they have their one national TV game that you thought this was going to be the time that Oregon, steps up. They go and lose. So when they play Oregon this coming week on championship weekend, that win is already going to drop down a little bit as well. So I just don't really see who in the Pac-12 gave Utah a challenge that makes me want to put them in the top 4.
What about Clemson in the ACC? It's not about that strength of schedule to the committee at this point. Alabama had 1 loss to LSU, had not beat another ranked opponent the entire season, and was put at number 5. The eye test is what matters this season. It's not about the resume. You look at LSU versus Ohio State. LSU's resume is absolutely better than Ohio State's, but the eye test goes to Ohio State.
Partain, to your point, if eye test matters and resume doesn't, why was Bama not in front of Georgia? Because Bama had a better loss than Georgia.
Committee had to do the politically correct thing.
But you just said resume doesn't matter.
Right. If in this scenario, it's politically correct for them to put Alabama behind, because it didn't matter. When Georgia loses to LSU, inevitably, Bama would have slipped right back into that 4 spot. I don't think Utah or Oklahoma or Baylor could have done enough to get past Alabama in that scenario. But now that Alabama's out of the way, the door is absolutely open for Utah, and I think Utah should be win and in.
Chris, does Oklahoma jump Utah this week?
Yes, I think they absolutely do. They win the Big 12 championship and they get in. People want to watch Oklahoma. Nobody wants to watch Utah. And at the end of the day, this is a TV show just as much as it is like being fair to a college football playoff. Nobody wants to watch Utah, and Oklahoma's going to give Ohio State or LSU a better battle than Utah will.
Closing thoughts on that?
I don't think I do. I have gripes with you saying that no one wants to watch Utah. I don't think enough people have seen Utah because of the time that they play, and I don't think people know enough about Utah. You give them this chance to show themselves and this chance to prove that they are one of the nation's elite. I think people could fall in love with this Utah team.
I don't think anyone likes the Pac-12.
I think they'll have a chance in the Rose Bowl. That's about it.
You know what? We will see. And honestly, it's going to be an exciting day. That game is going to be Friday night, Utah, and then everything else will be Saturday. We're just going to have to find out and watch. Thank you, Chris and Kyle, for talking football with me today. Earlier today, we taped the season finale of Might I Add, where Chris and Kyle dove into everything from college basketball's Feast Week. Be sure to check that on our YouTube page tomorrow. When we come back, Charlie Reyes and Kayla Burge join me to preview MLB Free Agency. Stay tuned.
I mean, yeah, they lost the last 2, but third time's a charm, right? That's what I tell myself every night before I cry myself to sleep, right?
Definitely. In my eyes, I know he's pitching game 2, and his postseason ERA is about over 4, and I'm scared.
Because I like losing, apparently. It seems to be the trend. It's Jeter, too. He's just mad because the Yankees lost in the 2003 World Series.
03 World Series?
I think I have a better chance of winning the lottery, actually. Like, I'm probably going to throw it all on red this summer and hope for the best.
100%. And they're better than the Houston Astros. The Trastros?
Honestly, Justin Verlander is the second coming of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. He is a god. I would go straight for Kate Upton.
I don't know.
We didn't give him enough. Should have given him $500 million.
Let's go, Yankees. The Yankees will not lose. Let's be clear. Best team in baseball ever.
In your lap, I guess. Welcome back to Hitting the Field. I'm here to talk MLB Free Agency with Hitting the Feud champion Kayla Burge. Kayla, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Fantastic. And joining me is Senor Cycle, Charlie Reyes. Charlie, how are you?
I'm happy to be here. I'm glad it's the final episode of the season.
All right. Well, we're debuting a new segment on HTF today where we're calling Write It Down. In this game, I'm going to name a free agent, and Charlie and Kayla must write down which team you believe he's going to play for in 2020. Charlie, Kayla, we ready?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. First off, Garrett Cole. The Astros pitcher was a dominant force this past season, but he's taking one of the largest free agency deals in MLB history. Charlie, where's Garrett Cole going to play this year?
I say the Yankees.
Boo.
I think Yankees have the biggest pocket to do it. He grew up as a Yankees fan. You know, he is a native Californian, but I think, you know, I don't think he wants to go play for the Angels or the Dodgers. I don't think he thinks that Angels is a good fit for him because they're not a very good team, even though they have a few good pieces. I think with the Yankees, you know, he can actually go to another deep playoff run. You know, maybe even win a World Series, unlike with the Astros.
Well, Kayla, where do you think he's going to play?
I say the Angels. And while you
Angels.
disagree, I think that he actually be a perfect fit for the Angels. Mike Trout is eager to make a playoff, and the team as a whole is. And I don't think they're afraid to spend the money that Garrett Cole would require. My bad. So I think he'd be a perfect fit for the Angels.
I mean, it's going to come down to who's going to give him the bag.
For
I
sure.
mean, both teams have the money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Angels are more willing to be more ignorant with the
The
spending.
Yankees
Yeah,
don't have
I
as
agree.
much money.
Yeah, the cash
keep
in now, they kind of know, like, I'm going to throw the bag, but I'm not going to completely unleash it all. You know,
Yeah.
they kind of like to stay under the luxury tax these days.
The Angels will probably throw the bag at him.
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure. I
Yeah,
mean,
look-
they
look-
did it with Mike Trout, so.
Yeah, look what they did with Pujols years ago.
That is true. Up next is arguably the top position player in free agency this year. Anthony Rendon won a World Series last year with the Nationals. But does he stay with the Nets for 2020? Guys, I'm going to have to ask you where we think he's going to go. And I'm going to start with you, Kayla. Where does Anthony Rendon end up playing next season? Is he going to stay with the Nets, or are you going to see him in a different uniform?
I think we're going to see him in a different uniform, personally. I think he's a good fit for the Yankees.
I hate the Yankees.
Yeah, me too. But at the same time, they need a star-stud third baseman, as their current one was injured. So they could go with a new Rendon and then maybe take it on to the season.
Charlie?
I like that, you know, but I don't think Rendon's going to the Yankees. I think Yankees are kind of set.
I think they have the money for him.
I think we're kind of set in the infield. He's going to stay with the Nationals. I think even though he declined their original offer, I think he's going to come back to the Nationals. He just won a ring. I think the Nationals do not get Strasburg, do not get Cole, and then they just blow their money on Rendon just to try to get him back. I think that's what's going to end up happening.
Well, you just mentioned Anthony Rendon's teammate and World Series MVP. Steven Strasburg opted out of his deal to become a free agent this winter. He spent his entire career with the Nats, but he could begin a new chapter next season. Charlie, I'm going to have to ask you, where does the ace, the World Series MVP, Steven Strasburg, end up next season?
Steven Strasburg is going to the Phillies.
Division rival Philadelphia
Yes, he's
Phillies.
going to join Bryce Harper. They're going to spend the bag on him. And then he's going to help this team win the very easy NL East, for sure.
Kayla, where is he going to play?
I have to disagree. I think he's going to stay with the Washington Nationals. He's a big name in Washington, so I don't think they want to get rid of him. He just came off a winning season with them. I think had they not won, he might be discouraged and time to move on, but I think it's it's good energy for him going into the next season.
He's a hero to them.
I just don't think, I think guys like Strasburg, I think he feels like his time is done there. I feel like he thinks like, oh, we won already. What else can I really do here? I don't think he feels like he can win there again. I think he wants to go somewhere where he feels like he can win for years and years and years and on.
Kayla, so you think? I mean, do you guys agree that the Phillies are the team that they can win and win and win?
I don't disagree with the Phillies. I think it's a good option, but I just think that I feel like he's just a Washington guy. Like, I don't know. I feel like that's where he wants to do. He wants to continue to win with them, see what the team has coming into next year. You don't know after next year, like, you don't know what can happen, but I think going into the next season, he'll want to stay with the
Yeah, I
Nationals.
definitely don't think Strasburg and Rendon get re-signed by the Nationals.
So you think one of them's gone for sure?
Oh,
one
for
of them's
sure,
gone
yeah,
for sure.
definitely.
Yeah, nobody.
That'd be tough, too, to see Strasburg walk over. That'd be another Nationals player to go to the Phillies, which means the Nationals are going to win the World Series again, right?
No.
No?
Highly unlikely.
Well, last but not least, Kayla and Charlie, write down your boldest prediction for free agency. Throw down your hottest take that we have. I'll start with mine, and I'm going to say that Garrett Cole is going to be a Tampa Bay Ray. I just think he's going to go to the Rays. The Rays are a good team. I like the Rays. Hopefully they move to Orlando, and then I can watch some more Rays baseball. But I think Garrett Cole would be a good fit for the Rays, and we could possibly, see him win a World Series with them. Charlie, I'm going to start with you. Who do you have?
I say Yasiel Puig is coming to Tampa.
Ooh.
Yeah,
I
think he's he's pretty like mid-tier player right now, even though he's such a big name. So I feel like Reyes will probably give him a decent enough contract, come down, bring some heat to that Reyes offense that they really need.
Kayla, who'd you write down?
I say Ozuna to the Braves. The Braves need power hitters, and I think Ozuna is the perfect option for them. He hadn't done that great in the postseason for the Cardinals, but I do think he's a consistent player through regular season, and they can get him better to play well in the postseason.
So what do we think about Mookie Betts? Is he? I mean, I know.
I was gonna say that too. I'm thinking Mookie Betts is with JD Martinez.
Because JD said he's staying.
Since JD's staying, they can't afford Mookie Betts to stay, so they definitely gonna have to trade him. I don't know where though. I think you might have to trade him to the NL somewhere, maybe like a 3-team trade.
I had said the Braves would be the best fit for him, with Acuna, and now Betts, and like that team would be stacked. But Ozuna, I like that Ozuna. Do you think the Braves could make a run at the World Series?
I don't know about that because they don't, like just Ozuna alone isn't going to carry them the rest of the way. I do think they still need pitching and a bullpen. But I do think it'll give them a chance to get a little further than they have in the past.
I think Mookie can go to the Indians. I think because they definitely want to try to trade Francisco Lindor because they don't want to pay Francisco Lindor the money he deserves because he's truly one of the best shortstops in the game. So I think Mookie has to go somewhere. I think definitely a 3-team trade with Indians, Red Sox, and possibly another team that needs.
It's like safe to say, not saying like Lindor's up to the legacy of LeBron in Cleveland, but he's become like the sports icon in that city.
He really has. Because it's not Baker Mayfield.
I know, no, it's not. Kayla, I see you writing down. What do you have for us?
I'm saying Bumgarner also going to the Braves. Now, I don't know if the Braves will spend the money they need to get both of them, but I think, again, they need pitching, and I think he's a quality pitcher. Maybe not to get them all the way, but to get them a little better than they have in the past.
He single-handedly won a World Series for the Giants.
I do like that. I like Bumgarner going to the Cubs for the simple fact of they are definitely missing pitching. You got old guys like John Lester. You got inconsistent Yu Darvish. I think they definitely need a guy like Madison Bumgarner, bring that veteran caliber player to come to the team, come to the rotation, probably be a number 2, number 1 type of guy. I think it would definitely uplift the Cubs because I feel like pitching has definitely been not their strong suit in the past few years.
Do we think Bumgarner's still like a great pitcher, top pitcher in the game?
I don't know about top, but I think he is a pretty quality pitcher as far as MLB goes.
I think he wasn't healthy the last few years. So him not really being healthy, I think it hasn't really served him the best as being the Giants. Also, when your team is as bad as the Giants, I feel like you get discouraged no matter how.
They're supposed to be good on paper.
Yeah, I don't care how
they never live up to what
exactly.
they
So I think no matter how good your roster is, when your team's playing bad, you don't feel like that winning spirit.
Yeah, you don't have the motivation
to I feel like guys like Verlander and Cole played so good because they felt like they have such a great team behind them.
Bumgarner got hurt on a dirt bike, was it? He missed time for an off-the-field issue.
Yeah,
it's just
it
clearly
happens,
his focus was not there. Do we have any other bold predictions?
Bold predictions.
It could be like managers, like someone getting fired, new hires.
I don't know. I'm hoping the Marlins take someone
I was
big.
about to say, I think Don Madden is
Yeah.
getting fired this year.
Yeah. I hate to say it, but they've given him a lot of time. It's just not. The Marlins aren't going anywhere. They haven't in such a long time. They need something new.
I think Yankees trade Andahar.
Okay.
I think we might trade him to the Blue Jays, steal some of that youth from them.
So
that's what I think.
But in division, that's always tough. In division.
It is. But I think Yankees might try to trade for trade for one of their young guys for sure.
All right. Well, thank you, Charlie and Kayla, for playing today's game. I'm sure we're going to play this later in the next season when MLB's getting into full swing. When we come back, we're going to close our show with our final rant of the season, and I'll reveal the results of the Monday Night Football poll. Don't go anywhere.
Hi, I'm Dave Jeffrey, attorney at law. Has your favorite team ever left you feeling sad, disappointed, or even a little angry? Don't you feel like you should be compensated for it? Just take a look at these real testimonials from my real clients. After Tyrod Taylor led the Bills to the playoffs for the first time in 17 years, I was the happiest I'd ever been. And then the Bills traded him, and I wanted to die. But thanks to Dave, I found my will to live again. Yo, Kevin Durant's a bitch. When he said his mom was the MVP, I was so pissed. He put up 30 a game, not her. At the same time, I knew my boy Davey would be able to get me some quick cash. Thanks, Dave Jeffrey. I've helped millions of people, and chances are I might be able to help you too.
I hate David Jeffries. My whole family died in a car crash, but he gave all my money away to a Saints fan because of some blown pass interference call. Thanks, Dav.
Aren't you mad when KD went to the Warriors?
Nah. That's pretty chill. Give me a call at 888-888-888, crying emoji, and I can fix your sports misery too.
Please call the number on your screen today if you are experiencing any grief, sadness, or even if another fan has hurt your feelings. All you have to do is provide your credit card number, the 3 silly digits on the back, and the expiration month and year. This is not a scam. Doop-de-doop.
Welcome back to Hitting the Field, where we reveal the results of our Twitter poll. You guys chose the Seahawks to beat the Vikings at 71%, and I agree because Kirk Cousins is absolutely terrible. But before we close the show today, we're going to have a rant per HTF tradition, and I'm just going to start by talking about Thanksgiving. Dressing, stuffing, whatever you call it, I'm sick of that recipe being ruined. We need to stop adding raisins, cranberries, cherries, grapes. What is with all the stuff that we're adding to it? Can we just keep it simple? It's one of my favorites. My favorite part of Thanksgiving. It is ruined every single year, no matter where I go. Let's keep it simple. Just onion, celery, salt, pepper, and whatever the stuffing is on top. But that's going to do it for my rant. I'm going to throw it over to our 2 seniors who will be leaving us after this semester, Chris Tran. Chris, I'm going to start with you. Anything you want to say?
I'm not really used to this, but just want to thank everybody here for letting me be a part of Hitting the Field. I haven't been involved all 4 years. I know Charlie's been around forever, you've been around forever, but I just loved everything. It made coming to school, fun for this really whole semester. As I'm wrapping up here, just wanted to thank Jeremy, great producer, everybody in there. Thank you for letting me be a part of Hitting the Field. Coming on and being a talent was the most fun thing I've done at UCF. And I couldn't thank you guys enough more. Yeah.
Charlie, I'll throw it over to you. The man who will be leaving us. Do you want to tell everyone where you're going?
Yeah. So for the people who watch HTF who don't know, senior cycle is going to Bristol, Connecticut to do the productions internship with ESPN. Something I've been working real hard at. I'm very happy. Super ecstatic about it. I really enjoyed all my time at HTF. I'm going to definitely miss you guys, but I'll definitely be back. I'll be back early April to talk some early season baseball, but definitely going to work hard out there. Going to make all of you guys proud. Definitely going to try to secure that job to be, HTF alumni and ESPN.
Now, this is our Season 9 closing episode. Chris, what was your favorite thing from this season?
I really like just being a panelist and talking football. I mean, football is my favorite sport to talk about, and it just, it was just a great time coming on every so often and just being to talk with whoever I was really on with. It was just a really fun thing to do, which is something I naturally enjoy doing. So coming on and just talking football was just a great time.
I mean, it's kind of sucked this season because the Eagles haven't been great.
Yeah,
so
it would be a lot better if, the Eagles were doing what they were supposed to do.
But do you want to quickly talk about what you have lined up for the future?
Yeah, so I don't have anything lined up currently, still, figuring things out. But, I'm keeping in contact with some people. We should be figuring something out pretty soon. But until then, it's just, keeping in contact with a bunch of people.
Well, if not, you can always come back to HTF, Spend your days with the crew.
I'll definitely
Charlie,
miss it.
What was your favorite thing from this season?
Definitely arguing with Jeremy about baseball and talking about Yankees and Astros and ALCS. Like, me and him kind of foreshadowed this was going to happen, so definitely arguing with him about that. I'm definitely just going to miss everybody on the show, all the newbies. So appreciated to be a part of this. I don't know. I'm really just gonna miss the show. I'm gonna miss being here every Monday. I'm gonna miss waking up early, coming here, arguing with you guys about sports. This is literally my favorite thing to do when I come to school. This is the one thing that doesn't feel like school and doesn't feel like a job, and it's probably the greatest thing I've done in college.
Now, one thing I'm gonna throw out both of you. I want your hottest sport take for the 2020 year. Chris, I'll start with you. Hottest take.
The Sixers are going to win the NBA championship.
The Sixers are going to win the
finals.
NBA championship?
Yeah, they're the best start. I've said this before on the NBA show. They have the best starting five in the NBA. When it gets to the playoffs, the bench gets shorter, and it comes down to who are your stars, and the Sixers have the stars. They're going to win the finals. They're going to beat the Clippers.
They're going to beat the Clippers. Charlie, what's your hottest take for 2020?
Doing 3 sports. Packers are winning the Super Bowl.
Wrong.
Yankees are going to get Jarrett Cole, and Lakers are winning the NBA Finals.
The Lakers are going to win the NBA Finals?
Lakers.
Or is LeBron going to win
Lakers.
the NBA Finals?
They're not going to get to the NBA Finals.
They're not going to get to the NBA Finals?
Relax.
Ooh, wait. So the Clippers are the best team in LA? Lakers the best team in LA?
Not the Clippers.
Clippers.
Not with load management Kawhi.
Load management for the regular season. Just wait till the postseason and Kawhi's playing every game.
I really wish you guys could stick around for season 10 because that would be a great debate. But thank you everyone involved with HTF for making season 9 the best that it's ever been. Shout out to the vets and to the NSC staff and Yance. Congrats to Charlie and Chris on their futures. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Hitting the Field. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Hitting the Field. The HTF podcast will resume throughout December, and we'll be back this January for Hitting the Field's 10th season. I'm Jared Kaplan saying so long to season 9, and we'll catch you in 2020 for season 10. So long.
Keep it real. 3 rings in my hand, I'm a warrior to the max. When I hang it up, they gon' have to give me plaques. Step up in the building and I only bring the facts. When I make a highlight, they gon' replay, run it back. Okay, always locked in, I don't got time to lax. Saying he the best, he could take a lap. Batted 1,000 when you check the stats. Boy, is you ready? You ain't gotta ask. I just really hit the field.